Council is an invitation to find our collective story. It's a way for us to listen to our shared values and create meaning. We've come to Salinas Valley State Prison, which is a level 4 maximum security prison, with a pilot program to engage a group of inmates who felt the calling to become leaders, to actually learn how to facilitate council practice and ultimately carry the practice for other inmates on the prison yard.
Council is a process of bringing people together and communicating deeply and clearly from the heart. And that is an unusual experience we're finding in mainstream society, and in prison even less so. Very often in the setting, we find that people relate to one another based on their status, whether it's a correctional officer or a prisoner, whether it's as a white guy or a black guy, and Council really helps to break all that down and foster what we think of as more authentic communication.
I see it as a benefit all the way around. Inmates want to create a culture that benefits them and they can see the good in it. It's a benefit to the staff because that's one factor or many factors that will contribute to lessening recidivism.
Many of these guys are getting out, and those who aren't are impacting those who are getting out. If there's nothing to support a change in mentality, they're going to move back out into society and adopt the ways that got them in there in the first place. We need to do something to stop that from happening. There are 5 elements to Council. We create a circle so we know who's there. We create a center so there's some place to understand that there is commonality here. There's a threshold that allows us to step into this way and leave behind the pace and the craziness of the outside world and be together in a more intentional way for a little while. And the last element of Council is we have a way to step out back into the world.
I chose this rock because my sisters always tell me I'm the rock. Talking to them, they always tell me, we need you, we need you to come home, we need you to do this. But little do they know, I look at them as being my rock, because without them, I probably would have been checked out a long time ago.
I used to look at mistakes in a way as a real bad things. But I started to understand more and more in life, like things happen that you may get better.
Instead of my dad being my biggest influence, which I wish he would have, I wish he was more involved in my life, but I have to give that to my father-in-law, and rest in peace.
To hear grief that you're carrying and haven't accessed come through the words of somebody else and all of a sudden resonate just opens your heart.
There's so much that I have lost. I lost my dad, I lost my grandma, I lost 2 of my aunts, I lost my freedom. I know how to lose, I guess. And to lose something, it's hard. To understand it, it's harder. But I choose to find ways to understand.
As people relate their experiences to one another, in that process, there's a great deal of introspection. And the introspection leads to questioning how I behaved in the past and how I might make different kinds of choices in the future.
I think anytime you know that you're listened to, appreciate and understand each other a little bit more, I think your chances for resolve are much higher. And I think that's what Council does.
To dedicate this to the families of my victims. Even though they might hate me, wish really bad things, but I wish they would know that I can change. I'm not that man anymore.
I lost somebody close to me not too long ago, and the best thing for me to do was be with my brothers, because if I wasn't able to be around them, there would have been a victim that I would have took their life to fill that void of what was taken from me. And the way I deal with that now on a daily basis is to keep myself around positive people not be around negativity, come to groups like this, and to always remember her in my heart.
Every day I'm gonna have to live with the fact that not only the life that I took my life from my children, my wife, my mother, my father. These are actions I have to live with forever. So in a way, I'm glad I'm here. Thankful even at times. Because I have brothers here, new brothers, that I know I can lean on now.
I always thought I did what I did because it was me or him, you know what I mean, at the time. But now that I have grown in a spiritual way, I trying to work on those things now. I trying to like not get mad at myself, not put myself down. I trying to forgive myself.
I have never asked my mom to forgive me. And when you said that, it made me think about I need to go ask my mom for forgiveness because I'm her baby. And she's always been in my corner. Always driving up to Pelican Bay. You know what I mean? That takes a lot. And yeah, I'm never yet to ask her, so I'm gonna make sure that tomorrow I ask her for forgiveness. And I wanna thank you for that, Wolf.
This work is incredibly powerful. Everybody who's touched by it is moved because it's unearthing this part of us that we don't access in any kind of regular way.
It is important to really examine ourselves, especially if we're going back out there, because it's going to be a real culture shock to many. And if a guy hasn't practiced or disciplined it himself, all of this will be for nothing. All of it. This is the last shot.
Those who move from this prison out into the world will have tools and will become part of a system that is supporting reintegration on the outside. We have a network of community-based organizations and faith-based organizations that are holding this practice and receiving these men who've paid their debt and are moving back into society.
If you can impact a level 4 maximum security prison, you have no excuse. You can impact a city or a county, or if you want to go on a macro level, you know, a world.
I'm fortunate enough to be able to go home, and I've been fortunate enough to meet some good people. And I'm gonna take these teachings and these stories back home with me.
When you allow yourself to be moved by somebody's story, even when you leave council, even when you step out of the room and onto the yard, you can't pass by that human being in the same way again. They're not your enemy anymore because your heart has opened and you feel empathy towards them. And be able to carry that back into society creates a continuum of care that allows us to really support the reintegration of these prisoners in a good way.